So it was, the 48th Tour of the Alps came to its final day. And crucial, just 11 seconds separating Michael Storer from Thymen Arensman, who'd taken the day prior and control of the race. Well, if this was to be about control, it was going to be a very, very tough task. So many riders wanted to get something out of this race, and of course this day was their last chance, and we had an enormous breakaway, went off and up the road. The pace was at its absolute highest, with the mountains dealt with and of course descents as well factored in. Two huge peaks, essentially walls, that we had to deal with late on were to characterize the entire day. Well, our breakaway made a good fist of it, and our peloton were kind of riding together. INEOS Grenadiers and Thymen Arensman in the green jersey, in pursuit, but really minded to see what Tudor would do with Michael Storer. At the front of the race, it started to thin down ever so slightly. The impact of the gradients and indeed the descents were starting to just take a toll on absolutely everybody. Thankfully, a dry day for the finale and the run to Lienz, just 112 kilometres in total, but still managing to cram in 2,446 metres of altitude gain. The green jersey on the shoulders of Thymen Arensman, embedded within is INEOS Grenadiers, running into that gap, but a handsome one as well. Maxing out at around 3 minutes and 40, slowly but surely, the terrain started to have an impact. And so it was that finally Tudor took control. This was the moment. Florian Stork driving into the first of two wall climbs with Michael Storer there and just rolling alone and isolated. Thymen Arensman, no teammates around him, and Storer ultimately said, "See ya, I'm going to take this one on myself." He needed to find 11 seconds out there, but it was a question of whether this gap would be expanded beyond that. Well, in the mountains, he went round every single one of the corners and had the luxury of looking back and seeing Thymen Arensman in his wake. He was now in charge of his own destiny. Just the climbs to be dealt with and the line to be hit to take that coveted green jersey. Thymen Arensman himself struggled alone out there. Meanwhile, the breakaway up front just started to disintegrate. Paul Seixas was there, and luckily for him, former leader of the Young Riders classification, he had Nicolas Prodhomme along for help. Likewise, Storer had Ericsson, who dropped back out of that significant breakaway. He and Geismeier riding together. Geismeier just a passenger, but Storer himself would soon be released to try and close into this gap and get the biggest margin he possibly could on Arensman, who'd started the day, of course, as our leader. Well, from this diminishing breakaway, the power was on display from Decathlon AG2R La Mondiale. Youth counts for an awful lot, and Paul Seixas has certainly got plenty of that. Well, he was looking spectacular. Likewise with his teammate Nicolas Prodhomme, who's always been in the service of others, and they were on a softening up exercise out there, just making sure that they were the ones that were going to go for the stage win. Stage 5 has been just enthralling. Every single day has been a new chapter full of drama. Thankfully the weather didn't overly play its part today. Dry conditions, and what a gap it was for Prodhomme and Seixas to set absolutely everybody. They came through the chicane and introduced themselves to the start-finish straight, and Paul Seixas rather graciously handed the victory to Nicolas Prodhomme. 28 years of age and his first pro victory. It meant an awful lot to him. Seixas himself, still a youngster, only 18 years of age, finishing second today, but securing the points jersey for the race in so doing. What a prospect Seixas is, but Prodhomme it was that took it, and we waited. Michael Storer came home to take the title. Brilliant work by the man from Perth. And then, of course, the gap between himself and this man. Thymen Arensman had led the race ahead of Storer by just 11 seconds at the beginning of the day. In the end, the margin between them was much bigger. Doff of the cap from Arensman, such a gentleman. Storer winning the title by a margin of 1 minute and 33. Michael Storer has won the 48th Tour of the Alps. Arensman in second place with Derek G on the podium for Canada. What an amazing race this turned out to be, and what a fabulous winner we have in Michael Storer. The 48th Tour of the Alps did not disappoint at all. Every day had a story, and in the end, Storer was the man. you.